Maria stood in the hospital corridor, her hands shaking as she signed the surgery consent forms for her mother. Stage 4 cancer. 6 months to live without treatment. $800,000 for the experimental therapy that might give her a chance. Money Maria didn't have. She was a nurse making $40,000 a year, and her insurance had maxed out. She'd sold everything, borrowed from everyone, and was still $500,000 short when the hospital administrator walked up with a man Maria had never seen before.
This is Mr.
Miss
Kang Ji-woo.
Thompson,
He'd
this
like
is
to speak
Mr.
with you
Kang
about your mother's
Ji-woo.
situation.
He'd like to
Hello,
speak
Miss
with you
Thompson.
about your mother's
course.
situation. The Korean man was tall, impeccably dressed in a suit that probably cost more than Maria's car, and his face was so cold it could have frozen the sun. He looked at Maria like she was a business transaction. Miss Thompson, I'm CEO of Kong Pharmaceuticals. I'm prepared to pay for your mother's entire treatment. All costs covered. The best doctors, the best facility, everything she needs. Maria's heart stopped. I don't understand.
I don't understand.
Why would you do that? Because I need something from you in
I
return.
don't understand. Why would
His
you do that?
voice was flat, emotionless.
I don't understand.
Marry me.
Why would you do that?
If you want to know why a billionaire
I don't
CEO would
understand.
offer
Why would you
marriage
do
to
that?
a struggling
It's
nurse
complicated.
and what devastating secret he's hiding, hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment telling me if you'd marry a stranger to save your family. Let's get into the story. Maria stared at Ji-woo like he'd grown a second head. You want me to marry you? I don't even know you. It's a business arrangement. 6 months. We get married, you live in my home, appear with me at necessary functions. In return, your mother gets the treatment, all medical bills paid, and you receive $200,000 when we divorce. Your family's financial troubles disappear. Why me? Why would you need to marry a random nurse? Ji-woo's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. That's not your concern. You have 24 hours to decide. Your mother's surgery is scheduled for next week. Without the deposit, it will be canceled. He handed her a business card and walked away, leaving Maria standing in the hospital corridor trying to process what had just happened. That night, Maria sat by her mother's bedside. Patricia Thompson had been a single mother who'd worked 3 jobs to raise Maria and her 2 younger brothers. She'd sacrificed everything for her children. And now she was dying, and Maria was helpless to save her. Baby, you look troubled, her mother said weakly. I'm fine, Mama. Just tired. You're a terrible liar. Talk to me. Maria told her everything. The stranger's offer. The marriage proposal. The money. All of it. Her mother was quiet for a long moment. What does your heart tell you? That this is insane. That there's something he's not telling me. That no one offers this much money without a reason. Then find out the reason. But Maria, baby, don't marry a stranger for me. I've lived a good life. I don't want you sacrificing your future. Mama, stop. You're not dying. Not if I can help it. Maria took her mother's hand. I'll find out what he's hiding. And if it's something I can live with, I'll do it. Maria spent the next day investigating Kang Ji-woo. Billionaire CEO at 32. Built his pharmaceutical company from the ground up. Ruthless businessman. No scandals, no relationships, no personal life. Like a ghost who only existed in boardrooms. But there was one thing. 7 years ago, a brief mention in Korean news about his younger sister's death. Suicide. No details. Just a name. Kong Min-ji, age 19. Maria called the number on his card. I'll do it, she said when Ji-woo answered. But I have conditions. I'm listening. I want to know why you need a wife. The real reason. Silence. Then, my grandmother is dying. She has one wish before she dies, to see me married. She has 6 months, maybe less. She raised me after my parents' bankruptcy and my sister's death. This is the only thing she's ever asked of me. You couldn't find someone in your own social circle? My grandmother wants me to marry for love, not status. She doesn't know this is arranged. As far as she'll know, we met, fell in love quickly, and are getting married. You're a nurse, not a socialite. You're perfect for the story. So I have to lie to a dying woman. You'll be giving her peace in her final months. Is that so terrible? Maria thought about her own mother. About what she'd do to make her happy. No, I guess it's not. But I want to meet your grandmother before I agree. Done. Tomorrow. Be at this address at 2 p.m. He gave her a location. And Miss Thompson? Don't be late. I don't tolerate unprofessionalism. He hung up without saying goodbye. The next day, Maria stood outside a traditional Korean house in an expensive Seoul neighborhood. The door opened and Ji-woo stood there, still cold, still emotionless. You're on time. Good. My grandmother doesn't speak much English. I'll translate. Inside, the house was beautiful, filled with photos and traditional decorations. An elderly Korean woman sat in a chair, thin and frail, but with sharp, kind eyes. Ji-woo spoke to her in Korean, and the woman's face lit up. She gestured for Maria to come closer. She wants to see you, Ji-woo translated. She says I described you, but she needed to see with her own eyes. The grandmother took Maria's hand, speaking rapidly in Korean. Ji-woo translated. She says you have kind eyes. Warm spirit. She asks how we met. Maria looked at Ji-woo, and he nodded slightly. Time to start the lie. At the hospital, Maria said. I was working, he was visiting someone. We started talking. More Korean from the grandmother. Ji-woo's face remained impassive as he translated. She asks if I make you happy. Maria looked at the old woman's hopeful face and felt her heart break a little. Yes, she lied. He makes me very happy. The grandmother smiled, tears in her eyes, and pulled Maria into a hug, speaking what were clearly blessings. Ji-woo didn't translate those. Later, as he drove Maria back to the hospital, she finally spoke. Your grandmother is lovely. Yes, this is going to destroy her when we divorce. She'll be gone by then. She won't know. That's cold, even for you. Ji-woo's hands tightened on the steering wheel. You don't know anything about me. I know you're willing to lie to the woman who raised you. I know you're buying a fake wife instead of finding real love. I know you're so closed off you can't even pretend to be warm for 5 minutes. And I know you're so desperate for money you're willing to marry a stranger. So let's not pretend either of us is better than the other. The words stung because they were true. Maria turned away, looking out the window. When's the wedding? 1 week. Small ceremony. Just grandmother and your family if you want them there. My mother can't travel. She's too sick. Then we'll have the wedding at the hospital. In the chapel. I'll arrange everything. Maria looked at him surprised. You do that. I said I'd pay for everything. That includes making this believable for both our families. His voice was still cold, but there was something else underneath. Something that almost sounded like understanding. The wedding was surreal. Maria wore a simple white dress Ji-woo had purchased. Her mother was wheeled into the hospital chapel, crying happy tears despite knowing the truth. Maria's brothers stood as witnesses. Ji-woo's grandmother sat in the front row, beaming. When Ji-woo slipped the ring on Maria's finger, his hand was steady. When he said, I do, his voice was firm. When he kissed her, it was brief and cold and felt like a business transaction being sealed. But when Maria looked at his grandmother's joyful tears and her mother's relieved smile, she thought maybe this lie was worth it. The first night in Ji-woo's penthouse was awkward. The place was massive, modern, and felt as cold as its owner. Your room is down the hall, Ji-woo said, showing her to a guest bedroom. You have your own bathroom. I'll have your things moved here tomorrow. We're not sharing a room? This is a business arrangement. We'll share space when necessary for appearances. Otherwise, we maintain separate lives. Your grandmother might visit. She's too ill to leave her home. And if she asks, we'll say we each need our own space. She'll understand. He moved toward the door. I work long hours. I'm rarely home. Don't wait up for meals. The kitchen is fully stocked. Help yourself to anything. Ji-woo. We have a charity gala next week. I'll have a stylist come by with appropriate clothing. Wear whatever she selects. Learn to smile when we're in public. That's all I need from you. He left, and Maria sat on the expensive bed in the expensive room and felt more alone than ever. The next morning, Maria woke to find Ji-woo already gone. There was a note on the kitchen counter. Your mother's surgery is scheduled for today. I've arranged for the best surgical team. A car will take you to the hospital at 8 a.m. True to his word, a driver was waiting. At the hospital, Maria found her mother being prepped by doctors she'd only read about in medical journals. The experimental treatment was starting immediately. Baby, are you sure about this? Her mother asked. I'm sure, Mama. You just focus on getting better. The surgery took 14 hours. Maria waited in a private family room, pacing and praying. When the surgeon finally emerged, he was smiling. The surgery went well. We got all the visible cancer. Your mother is strong. She has a real chance. Maria collapsed into a chair, sobbing with relief. Her phone buzzed. A text from Jiwoo. I heard the surgery went well. Take the week off to be with her. The car will bring you home when you're ready. No emotion. No warmth. But he'd made sure to know the outcome. That was something. Over the next 3 weeks, Maria settled into a strange routine. Days at the hospital with her mother, who was responding well. Nights in the cold penthouse, usually alone. Jiwoo worked 18-hour days and was rarely home. When they crossed paths, it was brief and formal. Always polite. Always distant. Always cold. But Maria started noticing things. Jiwoo had subscribed to her mother's favorite magazines and had them delivered. He'd arranged for Maria's brothers to access the penthouse gym. He'd paid off her student loans without telling her. She confronted him one evening when he came home at midnight. Why did you pay my student loans? That wasn't part of the deal. Jiwoo loosened his tie, not looking at her. You're my wife. It would look suspicious if you had debt while married to me. No one would know about my student loans. I would know. It's handled. Don't mention it again. Jiwoo, thank you. Really. It's nothing. I have work to do. He disappeared into his home office, the door closing with finality. But the next morning, Maria found a note with her coffee. Your mother likes those magazines. I thought she'd want the subscriptions. It wasn't signed, but she knew Jiwoo's handwriting by now. The charity gala was Maria's first test as Jiwoo's wife. The stylist had dressed her in an elegant gown. Jiwoo barely glanced at her. You look appropriate. Let's go. At the gala, Jiwoo transformed. His hand was on the small of Maria's back, warm and possessive. He smiled at her, introduced her proudly, looked at her like she mattered. It was all an act, but convincing. You're good at this, Maria whispered during a dance. At what? Pretending you care. Something flickered in his eyes. Maybe I'm not pretending. Before Maria could respond, a woman approached. Beautiful, Korean, elegant. Jiwoo. I heard you got married. I had to see for myself. Jiwoo's entire body tensed. Seo-yeon. Introduce me to your wife. Maria, this is Han Seo-yeon. An old acquaintance. Seo-yeon, my wife Maria. Seo-yeon's smile didn't reach her eyes. How did you two meet? At a hospital, Maria said. I'm a nurse. A nurse. How quaint. Seo-yeon looked at Jiwoo. I didn't think you'd actually go through with marriage. Especially not after Minji. Jiwoo's face went completely blank. Don't. She should know what she's gotten herself into. About your sister. About why you. Seo-yeon, walk away now or I will have security remove you. The woman laughed. Still can't talk about it. Still carrying that guilt. Some things never change. She looked at Maria with something like pity. Good luck. You'll need it. She walked away. Jiwoo's hand on Maria's back was trembling. We're leaving. In the car ride home, the silence was suffocating. Maria finally broke it. Who is she? No one important. She knew your sister. She knew something that made you react. Jiwoo, what happened to Minji? That's not part of our arrangement. Maybe it should be. We're supposed to be married. We live together. Your grandmother thinks we're in love. The least you can do is tell me why you can't stand to be in the same room as me for more than 5 minutes. Because you remind me of everything I've failed at. Jiwoo's voice exploded, raw and angry. Because looking at you, seeing you care about your mother so much you'd marry a stranger, it reminds me that I couldn't save Minji. That I was so focused on building my company, proving I could succeed after my father's failure, that I didn't see my sister was drowning. That I ignored her calls because I was in meetings. That I missed the signs because I was too busy. Maria felt her breath catch. Jiwoo. She called me the night she died. I was at a business dinner. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail saying she needed me. I told myself I'd call back in the morning. But there was no morning for her. She took pills, and by the time I found her, it was too late. And my grandmother, who loved Minji like her own daughter, she's dying thinking I'm finally happy. Thinking I found love. But I don't deserve love. I deserve this cold, empty existence. He looked at Maria then, and his eyes were full of pain so deep it made her chest ache. So yes, I'm cold. Because feeling anything at all reminds me that I failed the one person I was supposed to protect. And being around you, seeing how much you love your mother, it's like having a mirror held up to every mistake I made. The car stopped at the penthouse. Jiwoo got out and walked inside, leaving Maria sitting in the car, her heart breaking for this man who'd built walls so high to keep out the pain that he'd locked himself in a prison of guilt. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. She found Jiwoo on the penthouse balcony, staring at the Seoul skyline, whiskey in hand. You can't save everyone, Maria said quietly. I should have saved her. I was her big brother. You were dealing with your own trauma. Your father's bankruptcy, the pressure. You were 26 when she died. Old enough to know better. Old enough to be human. To make mistakes. Maria moved beside him. Your sister didn't die because you missed one call. She was in pain you couldn't see. That's not your fault. You don't understand. I do. I'm a nurse. I've seen families blame themselves for deaths they couldn't prevent. I've seen siblings destroy themselves with guilt. I've seen people waste their lives being cold and alone because they think that's what they deserve. She looked at him. Is that what Minji would want? Jiwoo's hand tightened on the glass. She'd want me to be happy. To live. You're not terrible at caring. You paid for my mother's treatment. You're making your grandmother happy. You care. You're just scared. Caring gets people hurt. Not caring guarantees loneliness. She turned to face him. Maybe we're both broken. Maybe that's why your grandmother put us together. Jiwoo looked at her, really looked at her, and something in his expression shifted. I didn't tell my grandmother to find you. I found you myself. I'd heard about your mother's case from a colleague at the hospital. I researched you. You were perfect. Kind, selfless, would do anything for family. You chose me specifically? I chose you because I saw myself in you. Before Minji died. Before I became this cold thing. I thought maybe being around someone who still knew how to love deeply would remind me how. Would show me the way back. Maria's heart was racing. Has it? Reminded you. Every day. You terrify me because you make me want to feel again. Want to hope. Want to believe I could be the man my grandmother thinks I am. They stood there on the balcony, souls spread out below them, two broken people finding something unexpected in an arrangement that was supposed to be fake. What if we tried? Maria said quietly. Not for your grandmother. Not for my mother. Just for us. What if we tried to actually be married? I don't know how to do that. Neither do I. We'll figure it out together. Jiwoo set down his glass and, hesitantly, took Maria's hand. I'm going to disappoint you. I'm going to close off. I'm going to be cold. And I'm going to call you on it. I'm going to push you to feel. I'm going to refuse to let you hide. She squeezed his hand. We're stuck together for 6 months anyway. We might as well make it real. For the first time since Maria had met him, Jiwoo smiled. Really smiled. Okay, but I'm terrible at romance. Good thing I'm patient. The next morning, Maria woke to find Jiwoo in the kitchen, attempting to make breakfast. Badly. What are you doing? Making you breakfast. Or trying to. I've never cooked before. He looked at the smoking pan. I thought this would be romantic. Maria laughed. Here, let me show you. They cooked together, Jiwoo following her instructions. He was focused and determined, treating cooking like a business project. This is nice, Jiwoo said as they ate the slightly burnt eggs. Domestic bliss. He took her hand. Thank you. For last night. For understanding. Thank you for telling me. I'm going to try to be better. At this. At us. We have time. What if I don't want it to end after 6 months? Maria's heart skipped. Then we'll talk about it when we get there. Over the next 3 months, everything changed. Jiwoo started coming home for dinner. They'd cook together, talk, share their days. He visited Maria's mother with her. He helped Maria's brothers with job applications. He let Maria into his life bit by bit. And Maria fell in love with him. Not the cold CEO, but the man who left her notes, who remembered her coffee, who woke from nightmares about his sister and let Maria hold him. Jiwoo's grandmother noticed the change. "I knew you two were right together," she said through Jiwoo's translation. "Real love." Maria looked at Jiwoo, and he looked back at her with something that made her breath catch. "Yes," he said in English. "Real love." For months into their marriage, Jiwoo's grandmother passed peacefully. Jiwoo was devastated, but not alone. Maria held him through the grief. At the funeral, Jiwoo spoke about how his grandmother had never given up on him finding love, how she'd known Maria was perfect for him before he knew it himself. "She got her wish," he said, looking at Maria. "I found love. And I'm grateful she pushed me to open my heart." After the funeral, back at the penthouse, Jiwoo pulled out their marriage contract. 6 months is almost up, he said. Maria's heart sank. "I know. I want to tear this up." "What?" Jiwoo ripped the contract in half. "I don't want a business arrangement. I don't want a fake marriage. I want you. Really want you. Forever. Jiwoo, your grandmother is gone. My mother is in remission. We don't need this anymore. I know. That's why I'm asking you to marry me for real. Not for her. Not for your family. For us. Because I love you." Maria felt tears streaming. "I love you too. But I don't need a new proposal. I'll keep the marriage we have. The real one we built." Jiwoo pulled her into his arms. "I was so cold when we met. But you brought me back to life. You saved my mother. You saved me." They stood together, two people who'd started with a business arrangement and found real, honest, beautiful love. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button and subscribe for more emotional love stories. Drop a comment. Would you marry a stranger to save your family? Would you give your heart to someone who started out cold? Share your thoughts below. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the coldest hearts just need the warmest love to thaw. See you next time.